All right, you just got the bad news in the feed that law enforcement has been tracking the precise movements of Sprint customers using GPS. And if that doesn't scare you, it should. And we're going to tell you why right now in The Loop. Joining me from San Francisco to help us make sense of it all, Civil Liberties Director for the Electronic Frontier Foundation, Jennifer Granick is here. Hello, Jennifer. How are you?
Hey, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. Is your cell phone off? I just want to make sure nobody drops in from a rope and muzzles you during this loop here.
That's right. I didn't want anybody to know I was here.
Yeah. How was this information uncovered? We just heard Sprint's been tracking a lot of people. They developed a whole web portal for government agencies to actually just type in a phone number and track them. How did this get leaked?
Christopher Segoyan, who's a graduate student at the University of Indiana, attended a conference, which is the industry conference for surveillance companies, telcos, and the government.
And
there was a panel at the company, and one of the Sprint spokespersons said that this was what they were doing.
So they openly admit this, potentially to a private conference, but the information's out there nonetheless. And we hear 8 million requests for data over 13 months. That's a shocking figure. I know that's not 8 million specific users, but it could be thousands of users being pinged multiple times, right?
It could be, yeah. It begs the question, how many people are being tracked in a year period? And this is just location information, and it's just Sprint. So it makes you wonder, what is law enforcement doing in terms of surveilling American citizens?
Right. Well, how has Sprint responded? Clearly, they're going to say that they've done nothing wrong here, but I know they issued a statement. Are they admitting any wrongdoing whatsoever?
No, Sprint put up a message on their blog admitting that the number was 8 million, but saying that those were just pings. It wasn't necessarily individuals, and but they didn't tell us how many individuals. And then they said that they are doing this in criminal investigations, some of the emergency situations, and then they also mentioned customer consent, which raises the strange question of when is it that they think their customers are consenting to pervasive location surveillance by law enforcement?
Interesting, yeah. Now, this is the sort of thing where theoretically law enforcement agencies would have to obtain a warrant to actually get this information out of a cell phone carrier, correct?
Well, we think they should be getting a warrant, but Sprint hasn't confirmed that they're getting a warrant, and they may be getting this information with something far less than a warrant, without any judicial review or any showing of probable cause whatsoever. So that's another question this whole thing raises. What legal process are law enforcement getting, and how does a web portal check to make sure that they have the right legal process and then that they're only getting the information a judge has authorized them to obtain?
Well, do you think it just says hold the subpoena up to the webcam and then you're good to go, and once that's verified, you get tracked? I mean, a member of our production staff who is a Sprint customer called up. He said he was curious if he's been pinged over the last 13 months. He wanted to know. He got in touch with Sprint's Executive Services Department, and they told him if he had been tracked by GPS, he would have received the subpoena. There's no way they sent out thousands and thousands of these to people in 13 months, right?
You know, a subpoena is a legal document that asks somebody to appear somewhere or to bring documents somewhere. Why would a Sprint customer who's being tracked be subject to any kind of subpoena or get a subpoena? I mean, they're not notifying customers of this, and if they were notifying them, that wouldn't be with a subpoena.
Do Sprint customers have any recourse here, legal or otherwise? I mean, can they call? I mean, clearly they should call and complain if they're concerned about the practice, but did they kind of sign their rights away when they agreed to their terms of service?
No. Terms of service, you know, can't say, okay, law enforcement, you can pervasively track the location of Americans who have cell phones. So thing number one, you can shut your cell phone off. But, you know, we have cell phones because they're useful. So you can call Sprint and complain. You can ask the company to require a warrant. And I think you can call your congressperson and say that this is something that we need some kind of, some kind of supervision over, find out what law enforcement is doing, and make sure that they're only getting this information about people when they've demonstrated that they need it.
Yeah, or, you know, you could always just switch to AT&T because you can't be tracked when you don't have service, you know, so
yeah, I mean,
there you go.
That's all
You're
us
free and
iPhone
clear.
users here in San Francisco know.
All right, thank you. Jennifer Granick from the EFF, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for
and
having
keeping
me.
us in the loop.